Hello, everyone, and welcome to Miss Hope's Reading Hour on this fabulous Friday. Okay, we are back. Oh, after computer troubles and timing troubles, we are back and on the right day, on a fabulous Friday. So sorry, you can see hands. They were a little ashy, so I had to put some lotion on. Okay. Always sharing with you all. So I'm so glad to be back with you all. Oh my goodness. Oh, still dealing with a few computer issues. Hopefully we have none today. Waiting for everything to load like it's supposed to load. Gotta check that again. But I'm so glad I get to be here with you all today. And there's a computer. We get to see each other. Okay. Hello, Miss Brandy. Hello, boys. I'm so glad to see you on today. Well, how has your summer been going so far? Hopefully you've been having a whole lot of fun, going some places, doing some things, eating some tasty summer foods, okay? Having a lot of water, ice, and ice cream, and all of those things. Let me do something real quick. I forgot to turn the sound down on the phone, so we don't want that interrupting us in our good books, okay? So how's Miss Hope's summer been going? So it's been going okay. Though it's summertime, I still got to be in school. I got one more class to take until I get my degree. So, for all of you who don't know what a degree is, my young ones, you may not know what that is. It's when you go to college and you know how maybe your brothers or your sisters, oh my goodness, he may have a lot to tell you about. Oh, nice. I can't wait to hear how his summer has been. I can't wait to hear Miss Brandy. So, if your brothers or your sisters or your cousins have graduated from high school and they get to wear a cool robe and that square hat and they get a paper diploma, it's kind of like that. But it's when you've gone to college and you've taken classes to learn certain things. And when you're done, that's when you get to wear your robe and your hat and get your degree. It's not called a diploma. It's called a diploma when you graduate from high school. It's called a degree when you graduate from college. So I will be getting my degree. I'm so excited, you guys. And when I do, and I get my robe, I'll wear my robe and my hat on here and show you my degree, okay? So I'm excited. Even though it's been a lot of work, I am excited that I'm this close to being done, okay? So I do have to sacrifice. Thank you so much. I have to sacrifice some fun things in the summer, but then I will be free to have all the fun that I want to have. But even while I have to do all this work, the one thing I will not sacrifice myself to doing is coming to Miss Hope's Reading Hour and to read with you, okay? So, today our books have to do with one of those fun summer things that you may get to do. Hopefully, before the end of the summer, I will get to go to one of my favorite places, okay? So Miss Hope loves water. I've always loved water. I loved water so much, I'll let you in on a secret. I used to get in trouble with my Barbies and filling up the tub with water and acting like it was a swimming pool for them. and I would get water all over the floor, and I would get in trouble with my mom and dad because they're like, we told you to stop doing that. But it was so fun because with my imagination, I'm like, we're at the pool or we're at my other favorite place, the beach. I love the beach. I love the beach. How many of you love the beach? Okay. Especially you go to the beach, there's the boardwalk with like the funnel cake and the hot dogs and water ice. And in New Jersey, because I'm in Philadelphia and we're close to the Jersey Shore, and so you go to the Jersey Shore, you get saltwater taffy, which is like this like chewy kind of candy, and they have it in all different types of flavors, and you get to sit out on the beach in the sun. I like the sand, even though the sand can be really, really hot. Oh man, make sure you have on water shoes because the sand can be so hot. Okay. So you get to sit out. Sometimes you rent an umbrella unless you have your own huge umbrella. You have your beach chairs. My favorite place to sit on the beach is right where the water comes up on the beach. And I will just sit there and look at the horizon and all the water. And I'm like, man, this is amazing. All of this water, and it's so beautiful. And that's what I'll sit there and do. I'd like to know what your favorite things to do at the beach are. Okay, so if you want to share it with me, go to the Miss Hope's Reading Hour group on Facebook. Put it in the comments on Miss Hope's Reading Hour on YouTube, or put it in the comments on Instagram when this is posted on Instagram. Let me know what your favorite things to do at the beach are. So, one thing that most little kids like to do at the beach is, all of you young kings and queens, and sometimes the princes and princesses. You can be a king and queen too. And the adult kings and queens sometimes help you do this royal activity. What do you think it is? Building sandcastles. Yes, building a sandcastle. So our first two books are about sandcastles. So our first book is called Super Sandcastle Saturday. Super Sandcastle Saturday. This book is by Stuart J. Murphy, illustrated by Julia Wharton. Super Sandcastle Saturday. And there's a little something extra about this book. You'll see as we're reading, okay? And our next book is simply called Sandcastle. Man, that is a monumental sandcastle, right? That is amazing. Sandcastle. And this book is by Inat Sarfati. Sarfati. Okay, let's try that again, because I don't like butchering people's names. Inat Sarfati. Okay? The writer and the illustrator. Okay? So we will read that book. And of course, my friends, we still with these unteachables. Okay? We're learning more about them. I still want to know, in the book, is Mr. Kermit going to meet up with Miss Fountain's mother, his former fiance? Like, they were going to get married. But then the cheating scandal happened and all of that. I'll talk about where we ended. It was crazy. We'll talk about where we ended. Okay? All right. So our first book is Super Sandcastle Saturday. Okay? Remember, I told you it's a little secret, a little something extra about this book. And you'll see. This is a HarperCollins Publishers book. Oh, I skipped the first page. Oh, no. Oh, no, I didn't. It was a hot and sunny Saturday. A super day for a sandcastle contest. Okay, everybody, shouted Larry the lifeguard. You need to finish building your castles before the tide comes in. Today, I'm giving out prizes for the tallest tower, the deepest moat, and the longest wall. Ready? Go! Larry blew his whistle. Juan, Sarah, and Laura couldn't wait to get started. They filled their pails and got right to work. Sarah wanted to win the prize for the tallest tower. She started building up, up, up. But Juan's tower was getting taller too. I'll bet my tower is taller than yours, said Juan. Let's use our shovels to measure them. Great idea, agreed Sarah. Now pay attention to what they're using to measure. Pay close attention. My tower is 3 shovels tall, said Sarah. Mine is only 2 shovels tall, said Juan sadly. You paying attention? Then Juan tried to dig the deepest moat. Nearby, Laura was digging a deep moat too. It's like a river around the sandcastle. That's a moat. Let's see whose moat is deeper, said Laura. Our shovels are too big, so let's use our spoons to measure. Okay, said Juan. Pay attention to what they're using. By the end of the story, you'll understand why I'm telling you to pay attention. Juan shouted, my moat is 2 spoons deep. Mine is a little more than 1 spoon deep, moaned Laura. All right. Hurry up, you guys, Larry called. The tide is coming fast. Laura, called Sarah. I just finished my wall. Let's see whose is longest. It will be easy to measure if we use our feet. That should be pretty easy. Let's see. They quickly walked heel to toe along their walls. 5 steps long, Laura shouted. All right. Sorry, said Sarah. Mine is 7 steps long. I win. Are you paying attention? Larry blew his whistle again. All right, everyone, he shouted. Time to see who won. Larry measured and measured, and then he measured some more. Juan has the tallest tower, announced Larry. Sarah's tower was 44 inches. Juan's tower was 48 inches. Laura's tower was only 40 inches. But why, Larry? Sarah asked. My tower was 3 shovels high, and Juan's was only 2. Your tower was more shovels high, Sarah, Larry explained. But your shovel is shorter than Juan's. Haha, remember I told you? Pay attention to what they're measuring with. Laura has the deepest moat, said Larry. Juan's moat was 12 inches deep. Laura's moat was 15 inches deep. And Sarah's moat was 10 inches deep. Juan's moat measured more spoons deep than Laura's, but his spoon is shorter than Laura's. You see? And Laura has longer feet, but her 5-step wall still didn't beat Sarah's 7-step one. Sarah has the longest wall. Laura's wall was 30 inches. Sarah's wall was 35 inches long. And Juan's wall was 24 inches long. Spoons and shovels and people's feet can all be different sizes, said Larry, but an inch is always an inch. That's never going to change. The end. I like this story. I like this story because even though we're talking about sandcastles, it talked about some math too. I was having a conversation with my nephew, David, the one who says that certain stories are juicy. I was having a conversation with him about art and how art and math go together. Sometimes people who are artists, I'll say me too, say that they don't like art, that they don't like math that much. But once you realize how it's related to art, you're like, oh, okay, so maybe I can like it a little bit. Even with the sandcastle, the one thing I told you to pay attention to was that if you're going to measure something, especially if you're in a competition, you have to measure with materials and with tools that are the same size. Because if some things are big and some things are small, then your measurement won't match. Of course, there will be more of something smaller and less of something bigger. That's why Larry said in the end, spoons and shovels and feet can be different sizes, but an inch is always an inch. So if during this summer, my parent-teacher friends, you still want to sneak a little math in and have some fun while doing it, this right here is a very good book for the young ones, okay? All right, that was a good book. You're going to like this one too. Simply called Sandcastle by Inat Sarfati. I'm trying to get it right. All right, so let's see if we take the dust jacket off. Does it look the same? And it does. It does look the same underneath. Ta-da! All right. Now, I read through this one. I actually read through both of them. Sometimes I read through the books before I read them with you, and every now and then I don't. But these two I did read through, and I was like, oh, I love both of these. So here's the first page of people on the beach. That's a pretty crowded beach, but they all look like they're having a good time. That is a pretty crowded beach. Oh no! I want to show you this one thing. In the middle, there's a sea lion out sunbathing too. Oh, who is the publisher of this book? Forgot about that. You always got to shout out the publisher. Where's that page? Oh, maybe it's in the back. Where is that? Oh, just a second, friends. I think I may have missed that page. Oh, here it is. It's a Candlewick Press book. Now let's begin Sandcastle. I love building sandcastles, building castles in the sand. So I built a sandcastle. That's how it starts. Not just any sandcastle. That's getting pretty big. A real castle with domes and turrets and a crocodile moat. Look at that. That is impressive, okay? So turrets are usually the pointy top parts of the castle. But that's impressive on the beach. And large windows. Nope. And it has large windows with ocean views. Of course, it's huge. Of course. It was not long before kings and queens from all over the world came to visit my castle. It's 100% sand, murmured a king with a curly mustache. And you can hear the ocean, added a queen with a fancy pearl necklace. Look at all those kings and queens. That's a lot of visitors. And I mean, they are from everywhere. They were very impressed, especially with the dining hall, which served ice cream around the clock. Any kind, anytime. Look at the inside of this thing. That is amazing. Wow. They've got everything. Even a merry-go-round. And the library. That evening, we held a grand party in the ballroom. Dollops of ice cream were served all night long. It was awesome. Of course. So far, all everyone has eaten is ice cream. I don't know. I might think that my stomach might hurt a little bit after a while. But they look like they are having a grand time. But at breakfast, the troubles began. Yuck! The royal almond strudel is full of sand, one king shouted. All this sand makes my tongue feel like a beached jellyfish, complained a queen, as she laid down her napkin. Mm-mm-mm. I don't know, it's not seeming quite so fun anymore. The next day, the triathlon of Knights tournament was completely ruined. Oh, there is sand in my suit of armor, sobbed the bravest knight in the kingdom. I can't even lift a card from the pile. Wow, it's even hard to play cards because of the sand. In the glorious greenhouse, all the rare plants wilted. They do not grow very well in sand, except for the cacti, which felt right at home because they grow in the desert. So they're like, we're used to the sand. Too bad for the rest of you plants. There are grains of sand between my royal toes. It is so itchy, muttered a queen. It is highway robbery, grumbled a king, who could not open his royal treasure chests because the locks were full of sand. Oh, they are not happy. It's all fun and games at first. Now they're like, I don't know if I want to beat a whole castle, big castle made of sand. This is unacceptable, roared a king whose daily fig milk bath was utterly spoiled by the sand. I'll never be able to fall asleep like this, snapped an old queen as she tried to shake the sand out of her Egyptian cotton sheets. It's even worse than a single pea underneath my mattress. As you can see, they are not happy. Everyone was so angry. Now, what are you supposed to do with all these people being so upset with you? I didn't know what to do. My whole castle was made of sand. That's how it is with sandcastles. So I made a sand ball. What is this sand ball going to do to fix anything? Let's see. Guests in dresses and robes and suits of armor and towels and pajamas all took aim. 3 brave queens joined forces on the balcony. 2 kings made a pact to take control of the staircase. Suddenly, oh, where is she? Can you see what's about to happen? Let's see. Oh, it got flooded. The water came in. In came the sea and washed everything away. So I built a sandcastle. The end. See the little royal duck? I love this story. This story was so good. You know why? Because isn't that what you do on the beach? You go, you get your pails and your shovels and you build sandcastles. Then the water comes in and washes it away. And what do you do next? You build another one. The water comes in and washes it away. And then what do you do next? You build another sandcastle. And the great thing about this story is because even though it gets washed away, when you build that sandcastle, are you just building it to look at it? I don't think so. You build your sandcastle and you imagine what it would be like to live in a castle with kings and queens coming to visit you. And what kinds of things would you have inside of your castle? What kind of food would you serve? What kind of activities would there be? It's all in the imagination. That's the reason why I love this book. So, my parent friends, teacher friends, parent teacher friends, all friends who have children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, godchildren, and everything. If you know of a child who loves to go to the beach, loves sand castles, right here. This is a great book. And it helps them to imagine, so what would my sandcastle be like? What if my castle was real? How would we dress? What would we wear? What kind of food would we have? Things like that. And it would give you hours of fun, okay? Oh, my daycare friends who have daycares and things, that little sand table, great story to read, okay? Love this book. So glad I got to share it with you all. I love that they were getting ice cream all hours of the day and night. They didn't talk about any other food until it was time to eat it. And then that food wasn't quite so appetizing. Now, mind you, the ice cream was fine. No sand in that. It was just the other food that had sand in it. I think it was a bit of a conspiracy, okay? I think they just wanted to eat ice cream. Anywho, great story. So glad I got to share it with you all. All right. Now we got to change the ambiance, friends. Because you know, we are about to read about these unteachables and Mr. Kermit. It got juicy, okay? Last time we were reading. Now remember, close to Spirit Week at the school, the principal loves the vuvuzelas, those big plastic horns that people blow in South America, like for soccer games and things like that. But Mr. Kermit hates the sound, can't stand it. And the Unteachables were not invited to Spirit Week. No, you cannot come to the auditorium or any festivities because we think that you are going to wreak havoc. If you come, no Unteachables, you're not invited. Don't come. Don't bring your kids. But Mr. Kermit, he defended the Unteachables, and we're like, that's not fair. They should get to come. And he's like, what do you care? You don't like the vuvuzelas? What do you want to come for? But he's like, it doesn't matter. It's not about me. It's my students. Now, Kiana and Parker heard him talking about this over the intercom. And they were like, wow, he's really fighting for us. So when they find out there is a whole bunch of boxes of these vuvuzelas, they were like, you know what? Since we're not invited, we're going to steal them and get rid of them so that Mr. Kermit doesn't have to go through hearing them. They were almost clear of doing this until the principal came on the intercom and said, find out from your students who took the vuvuzelas, okay? And then Mrs. Fountain came over from next door and said, Mr. Kermit, where are your students? And he's like, I don't know. Shh, be quiet. We don't want them to come to school. If they don't come to school, that's fine. I don't have to be with them. But unfortunately, they looked out the window and they saw some of the unteachables running next to Parker's truck, which had the boxes of vuvuzelas in it. They were taking them down to the river to pour them into the river. They poured them into the river. And so the principal and the superintendent are pretty upset with Mr. Kermit. That is where we ended. We went a little bit into chapter 14, but I'm going to go back those 2 pages and read the beginning because there's a news report in the newspaper about the vuvuzela theft by the Unteachables. Well, here we are again. The Unteachables by Gordon Corman. And this is a scholastic book. Chapter 14, Superintendent, Dr. Thaddeus. Hijacked Horn Scuttle Spirit Celebration. The Greenwich Telegraph, local news by Martin Landsman, staff reporter. Greenwich Middle School's annual Spirit Week was disappointed this year after a prank gone awry dropped a shipment of traditional vuvuzelas into the river. Although more than half the noisemakers were eventually recovered, there was little enthusiasm at the school for blowing them. I'm not putting my mouth on those things, one student commented. You know fish go to the bathroom in that water? District officials are not revealing the names of the perpetrators of the prank, saying only that they have been appropriately reprimanded and that their teacher is a veteran educator. But the Telegraph has learned that the teacher in question is Mr. Zachary Kermit, who is still remembered for his involvement in the 1992 cheating scandal that remains a serious black eye for the Greenwich schools. Christina Vargas finishes reading the article and slides it back across the desk. Surely you're not still angry at Zachary Kermit for what happened 27 years ago. Why shouldn't I be? I ask irritably. The whole town remembers the scandal. The fact that it came up in this story proves that. The principal shrugs. You know as well as I do that the real culprit was Jake Terranova. He's the one who got his hands on the stolen exam and went into business selling it to his classmates. He may have been only 12 at the time, but he was the same wheeler dealer that he is today with his car business. All Zachary was guilty of was being fooled like everybody else, like me for one, and you. I grimaced. Superintendent is a powerful job, but a lonely one as well. When big decisions have to be made, there is no higher authority to appeal to. You are the law. Christina's right that in 1992, Zachary Kermit knew nothing about what the Terranova kid was up to. But when you're the big boss, you don't have the luxury of considering things like that. All that matters is optics. How does it look? In 1992, it looked very bad. And if the mere mention of Zachary Kermit's name reopens that old wound in a newspaper article written by a reporter who probably wasn't even born in 1992, then the optics haven't gotten any better. An elephant never forgets. The people of Greenwich have memories that are longer still. The district wasn't exactly supportive when the cheating scandal was going on, the principal adds. You can't fault Zachary for feeling abandoned. No wonder he got so burned out. And what about this latest incident, I probe? That wasn't Zachary's fault either, she offers. We gave him the Unteachables. What did you expect? I expect him to control 7 children. Is that so unreasonable? I knew he wasn't going to turn them into future presidents or even solid citizens, but to keep them from Grand Theft Vuvuzela, is that too much to ask? I have her there. Not even the most sympathetic principal can condone the kind of stealing, disruption, and destruction of property that's transpired on Monday. And look what happened when he tried to stop them, I go on, pressing my advantage. They all ended up in the river. I just got off the phone with our insurance company. They had a few choice words to say about that, let me assure you. She sighs wanly. I like Zachary. We started out in teaching together. He was brilliant and dedicated. What happened in 1992 destroyed his confidence. We should have stepped up to make sure he didn't blame himself. Instead, all we cared about was making sure we were covered when the newspapers got hold of the story. It ruined Zachary's career. Another difference between principals and superintendents. Principals can be nice. He ruined his own career. He might have been a good teacher once, but he isn't anymore. I agree. We gave him the most difficult kids in the district, and he made them worse. He'll be out of our hair soon enough, she offers. We both know he's planning to take early retirement. I wince. In the education business, you don't reach the level of superintendent without knowing how to do a little homework. The health and longevity in the Kermit family is appalling. Zachary Sr. celebrated his 80th birthday by going skydiving. The grandfather just turned 106. If the youngest Mr. Kermit has the same genes, he'll be collecting a pension from the school district for more than 50 years. The taxpayers of Greenwich shouldn't be on the hook for a bad teacher, I tell her. If he's fired for cause, he'll get no pension at all. She doesn't like that. You have no cause. Not for a few lost noisemakers and something that happened 27 years ago. Not yet, I concede. But I'll find cause. Zachary Kermit is untrustworthy and incompetent. I know he's your friend, but as his boss, can you really defend him? She doesn't answer. A principal always knows when there's dead wood on staff that needs to be cleared away. I don't gloat. That would be unbecoming of a superintendent. But privately, I enjoy watching her squirm as she struggles to come up with an answer to that. I wonder, she muses finally, when Zachary fell in the river. No defense of a teacher should include a sentence that ends with fell in the river. I cut her off. The students didn't fall, she persists. They jumped in because they thought they had to rescue Zachary. Remember, the kids were talking about some of the most difficult and antisocial we've ever seen. But they're loyal to him. Why? 12 hours later, as I lie in bed trying to sleep, that why is still reverberating in my skull. Chapter 15, Mateo Hendrickson. The whole class gets suspended for the rest of the Spirit Week. If that doesn't sound like a bad punishment, remember that your parents need to rearrange their work schedules, so you're not left completely alone. I can't speak for the others, but my folks are pretty mad. It's no big deal, I tell my father. Sci-Fi is running a Battlestar Galactica marathon this week. That should keep me busy until at least Thursday. Dad is like Zeus from Percy Jackson. No thunderbolts, but when he's in a bad mood, you definitely want to steer clear of Olympus. If you think this is a vacation, mister, you're sadly mistaken. You're going to sit in your room and reflect on how it's wrong to steal. It wasn't stealing, I insist. Stealing is the great train robbery. This is the Grinch. Better than the Grinch. The Grinch tried to steal Christmas, but he couldn't. We really did steal Spirit Week. You stole it from yourselves, he retorts. Everyone else gets to enjoy it. We were already banned before we were suspended. Besides, Mr. Kermit was right. It's dumb to have Spirit because it's on the calendar or because people are blowing horns in your ear. He frowns. Mr. Kermit? I don't like what I'm hearing about that guy. Mr. Kermit's a good teacher, I argue. At least he could be if he ever teaches anything. Look at Yoda. He may be a puppet with bad grammar, but he's also the greatest teacher in the galaxy. In fact, I might have to switch Mr. Kermit from the Grinch to Yoda, just like I'm going to have to switch Barnstorm from the Flash to Aquaman, because he's an amazing swimmer, and even with a bad knee and a foot that's been stomped on by a lane. Come to think of it, if we are all suspended, does Mr. Kermit still have to go to school? There's nobody there for him to teach. Actually, I think he might like that. But it's possible that he's suspended too. Dr. Thaddeus seems really mad at him. Nah, Ribbit's not suspended, Parker tells me when I run into him on a delivery to the farmer's market. His car's been in the parking lot all week. How would you know that, I ask. Whenever I'm near the school on business, I look around a little. Business, I echo. Farm business. I've got potatoes for Foodland, cantaloupes for the truck stop, and rutabagas for local table. Dad says they pay the most because they can't bring in produce from more than 20 miles away. By the time we get back to school next Monday, Spirit Week is over, and there isn't a vuvuzela in sight. Otherwise, everything's the same, except for room 117. In fact, this place looks so different that when I walk in, I actually step back into the hall to check the number on the door. No, it's 117, all right. And the other SCS 8 kids are taking their seats as usual, but we're all looking around in wonder. There's a huge map of the world on the back of the wall, next to star charts from the northern and southern hemispheres. At the front, there are bulletin boards for math, science, English, and social studies. There's a rolling cart of laptop computers. There are books on the bookshelves. The empty supply closet isn't empty anymore. Through the open door, we can see stacks of pencils, paper, scissors, and art supplies. Another thing is different. Mr. Kermit's already here. He's at the science board pinning up a large periodic table of elements. It throws some of us because when the teacher makes his usual entrance 10 minutes after the bell, that's our signal to start riveting. Sure, there are a few rivets, but they seem random and half-hearted. Kiana speaks up. Mr. Kermit? Oh, he turns away from the board, as if noticing us for the first time. Good, everybody's here. Before we get started, I want to say something about last Monday down at the river. I know you were only trying to help, so let's chalk it up to temporary insanity. And, thanks. But next time, not that there will be a next time, well, please find somebody else to help. But Mr. Parker interjects, waving his arms to take in the transformed classroom. What gives? Kermit looks uncomfortable. Well, last week I had some spare time since all my students were, absent. So I did some redecorating. An uneasy murmur buzzes through room 117. It's hard to put a finger on it, but It comes from the fact that this redecoration smells an awful lot like school. It isn't a big problem for me. I'm okay with the school side of things, but I don't like change. And for sure, this isn't the ribbit we're used to. Where did all this come from? At that moment, the door is flung open and Miss Fountain breezes in, beaming. What do you think, everybody? Isn't it awesome? I forgot to mention, Mr. Kermit adds, Miss Fountain helped a lot, so we owe her a big thank you. Nobody utters a sound. Our teacher shuffles uncomfortably. Well, Miss Fountain, I'm sure you're in a rush to get back to your students. Miss Fountain is looking around and growing concerned. But where is it? Mr. Kermit seems flustered. Well, there wasn't much space in resignation. He walks to the storage closet and opens the door the rest of the way. On the inside is a chart with all of our names in a column. At the top is written, Good Bunnies. Miss Fountain's brow furrows. This isn't going to work. It has to hang in a place where everybody can see it. She pulls the poster from the door and rehangs it on the front wall right behind the teacher's desk. Much better. I raise my hand. What are good bunnies? You are, she explains. You are the good bunnies. Every time you are a helpful hare, like when you do a good deed or get a good grade, you earn one puffy tail. When your line of puffy tails reaches the basket of carrots, you get a reward. I don't like carrots, Barnstorm complains. It could be a treat, or maybe even a pizza party with a cake. A carrot cake? Barnstorm asks suspiciously. The carrots are just a symbol. Here, I'll get you started. From a baggie attached to the bottom of the poster, she removes 7 Velcro-tipped cotton balls and pins one to the first slot beside each of our names. For some reason, I feel like I've accomplished something, even though the week has barely started. Alda lets out a loud raspberry. This is stupid. What are we, 5? I'm not wasting my time collecting rabbit butts. Mr. Kermit is annoyed. All right, smart guy. You just cost yourself one. His face twists. Puffy tail. He pulls off the Velcro sticker and puts it back in the bag. No fair, grumbles Aldo. Miss Fountain is just about to go back to her own class when there's a knock at the door, and this new guy walks in. He's an adult, but not one of the teachers. And he looks really familiar, although I can't place where I've seen him before. Mr. Kermit knows him for sure. Our teacher has gone white to the ears, like he's staring into the great pit of Carcoon from Return of the Jedi. The newcomer says, I don't know if you remember me, Mr. Kermit. As soon as I hear the voice, I recognize him. Barnstorm beats me to the punch. Dude, you're Jake Terranova. So we will end there. Why is Jake Terranova there? Why? That is a question to ask on Marvelous Monday, okay? Whew. So, they get suspended because they stole the Vuvuzelas, but their act of weird kindness makes Mr. Kermit think, maybe I can be a teacher to these unteachables. So he takes the time while they're gone, while they're on vacation, absent. he takes the time to decorate the room as if there's actually going to be some teaching going on. What I wonder is, are they going to give him a little pushback about actually having to learn now? Because they haven't been learning anything. They've been able to do their own thing, fall asleep, draw pictures, throw airplanes, and Mr. Kermit didn't do anything. But now that he sees that his students actually do care about him, maybe I can try to be a teacher again. Well, my friends, we will see how this pans out on Marvelous Monday. I was not expecting that when they came back to school, to see the classroom look like a classroom, like they're actually going to have class. I was not expecting that. That was a surprise. Surprise to me, definitely a surprise to them. Maybe it was a surprise to you. Well, my friends, I am so glad I got to be here with you today and read these awesome books about sandcastles and the beach and learning some more about the Unteachables and Mr. Kermit. People can change, okay? Well, I hope that you have an awesome weekend. Maybe you'll get to go to the beach. I know it's supposed to rain a little bit tonight. We would have been outside doing Miss Hope's reading hour, but I looked at the forecast and I was like, oh, I don't want to chance it if it's actually going to rain. But tomorrow, there is going to be no rain. It's going to be a beautiful day in the 80s, and hopefully you can get to the beach and sit out and build some sandcastles. If you do, can you please, oh please, send a picture to Miss Hope's reading hour. Post it up on our Facebook group. Post it in if you can. I don't know if you can. Post it on the YouTube in the comments, and post it on Instagram. If you send it to me in a message, I'll post it. If you can't get it through, and you go to the beach and you take a picture of you and your family or your brothers or your sisters or your friends at the beach, and you want to send me a picture, send it to me in a message and I'll post it on Miss Hope's Reading Hour on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube, okay? Well, with all of that being said, have a great weekend. Be safe. Be careful. Make sure that you are still washing those hands, wearing the mask where they say you need to wear it. So we need to make sure everybody's safe, me, you, and everybody else. And I will see you right back here on Miss Hope's Reading Hour. Until then, my friends,